Batman villain. I wear fine, English tailoring. Curtis, I haven't had a new suit in 30 years. If you take good care of the suits that you had made decades ago, they'll take care of you.
Well, let me tell you something. You span the era, not necessarily the politicos you mentioned, but I followed your career. Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Jack Kemp, Bob Dole, George W. Bush, obviously Trump, Arnold Specter. You were working for him to become president, and you were working governor. Did I nail all those right?
You did. John Kane, 88 years old, by the way, this past week. That was my very first solo political consulting gig post-Reagan. First time I got out there on my own. And, of course, he won by 1,200 votes out of 2.1 million cast.
No doubt. And then what I find ironic, you were a Goldwater guy at the same time that Hillary in the suburbs of Chicago was a Goldwater gal. And look at the different directions you traveled.
Well, I certainly didn't bump into her at the time. Look, over time, Curtis, you know this, people's attitudes change as they learn new things.
Yeah.
I used to be a totally blind lockstep. All Republicans are good, all Democrats are bad. I don't think that anymore. Today, I think, despite my deep sentimental attachment to the Republican Party of Lincoln, the Republican Party of Barry Goldwater, of Richard Nixon, of Ronald Reagan, of Donald Trump, I really do think we've gotten to the point where the two-part kind of a Hegelian kabuki dance, a fun kind of an act put on for the voters, but really both parties, sadly, at least the leadership of both parties, they're kind of in it together. I mean, they have worked together to destroy the country. It's very sad.
Well, when we return, Roger Stone,
Shellyan
we've got to
Anthony,
get
my
into
dear
the
love,
social
Shellyan
wars,
Anthony.
social issues, because I've known you a long time. I don't think of you as a Libertarian. I think Roger Stone, ahead of the curve, legalization of marijuana, ahead of the curve, believer, come see, come saw, live and let live. You're not a holy roller by any means of the definition. I mean, I can't imagine you in a church on Sunday with evangelicals, screaming out, Jesus, Jesus. You are a libertarian coming out of the school of Barry Goldwater, who was the biggest libertarian of our era, and then the Republican Party switched direction. And I'd like to discuss that with you in the next hour, because it certainly is going to impact this election and the primary, with Donald Trump seeking the White House again, and it may be against DeSantis.
This is New York's talk leader, the crown jewel of talk radio. WABC New York and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays. News first at 59 past the hour. 77 WABC News starts now.
77 WABC News time is 1:59, 58 and partly sunny. Good afternoon. I'm Liz Radabali. A recent study from University experienced by COVID-19 patients is due to a shift in brain activity. Thanks to MRI scans, researchers say that those suffering the virus impair two parts of the brain. Researchers have hope that reversing these effects now that they have been identified, and some doctors like Dr. Christina Shin have already started experimental treatments.
We have seen quite a good response, but there are also patients still in that phase where we're trying to figure out who it's going to help.
Experts are still looking for answers on the best treatment methods. One person is dead and another is critically injured in a double shooting this morning in the city of Newburgh. It happened around 8 o'clock near the corner of Lander and Barrington Streets. News 12 reports that the surviving victim is paralyzed as a result of the shooting. Newburgh police are actively investigating the situation. Lawyers will give opening statements today in the trial of a man pulled a semi-automatic weapon and shot 5 co-workers, killing the store manager, Ray Wishrup. And jury selection begins in New York City today in the copyright infringement of British pop star Ed Sheeran. The star is accused of copying parts of the song Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye on his song Thinking Out Loud. The suit was brought forth by the daughter of one of the co-writers for Gay's song, Ed Townsend. In the world today, besides having to stand here and worry about other people stealing other people's belongings. If the jury finds Sheeran liable, there will be another trial to determine how much he and his labels should pay. And two of the biggest names in cable news went down today. Noam Laden has the latest.
Fox says farewell to Tucker Carlson, first Faulkner making the announcement on the conservative network today.
Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have mutually agreed to part ways. Tucker's last show was this past Friday.
Tucker was Fox's top-rated primetime host. His departure comes just days after the network paid over $700 million to Dominion Voting Systems for claiming they rigged the 2020 presidential results. Over at CNN, Don Lemon given the boot today. Lemon, who had been at CNN for 17 years, said he was shocked that he was let go. Noam Laden, WABC News.
Former Mayor Bill de Blasio is facing fines over his failed run for the 2020 Democratic presidential candidacy. The Federal Election Commission imposed a fine over $53,000 on 3 committees associated with de Blasio. The former mayor's campaign has agreed to pay the fine and...
COVID finished. Throw away the plastic. COVID finished. It's all scam. It's all scam, political bullshit. Throw it. No mask, no cover. It's all bullshit. Yep. On to the next one. On to the next one. On to the next one.
Call Augusta Precious Metals today at 844-44-HERO. That's 844-44-PIRRO. 844-44-PIRRO.
News breaks. 77 WABC News breaks in.
WABC News time is 2:04. Now over to the sports desk with Mike Didino.
All right, let's start with playoff hockey. Weston finds Hamilton. He scores! Dougie Hamilton, an overtime game winner, and New Jersey is right back in the series. That's how courtesy of ABC, and that goal got the Devils right back into the series. An overtime win Saturday now makes this a 2-1 series lead in favor of the Rangers. Game 4 is tonight in Madison Square Garden, a 7 p.m. puck drop in that game. Over to baseball, the Mets, they are off tonight, but they did get some encouraging news earlier today. Justin Verlander, who's been out for the season, is slated to make a rehab start on Friday for Single A Port St. Lucie. As for the Yankees, they will open up a road trip in Minnesota tonight. Johnny Brito getting the rock for the Yankees. The former Yankee, Sonny Gray, gets the ball for Minnesota. And in football news, the NFL draft inches closer. Draft day is Thursday evening. The Panthers, they have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. They're expected to select Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. As for the Jets, draft 13th, the Giants, they have the 25th pick. For 77, WABC Sports,
A federal grand jury has indicted a man in Houston for allegedly calling the office of U.S. Representative Maxine Waters and leaving threatening voicemails. Brian Michael Garrity was charged with 4. Tonight will be mostly clear skies with a low of 45. 58 and partly sunny outside our Midtown studios. I'm Liz Radabali, and remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
The Kelly Show.
I like to be in America. Everything is free in America.
Yours truly, Curtis Lee, was substituting for Greg Kelly today. He's away. And we have a very special guest because the focus of so many Republicans is on the state of Florida because of the two political titans who may be battling one another for the nomination to represent their party against what we expect to be the President Joe Biden announcing by video form tomorrow, Tuesday, his bid for re-election. We're talking about, obviously, candidate Donald Trump. And potentially Governor DeSantis will be going on a world tour to sort of try to establish his bona fide in geopolitical matters away from the state of Florida. But on the line, we have Roger Stone. Roger, you probably recognize the song from West Side Story, created in the 60s by the most liberal, progressive producers, Leonard Bernstein, the conductor who created the music, Sondheim, who actually held fundraisers for the Black Panther Party back then in their penthouses on the Upper West Side. But the words in this musical now would be considered new. You can't use words like this. You would be considered xenophobic and racist. Boy, have our times changed, Roger Stone.
They really have, Curtis. Let me address something you said in the last segment, because I must. I think you would have been surprised to see me this Sunday morning, because I was at the Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church, which is a vibrant evangelical Christian church. In all honesty, I've been very open about this. When I was looking at 7 to 9 years in a totally fabricated witch hunt, when I was framed for lying under oath about Russian collusion that does not exist, WikiLeaks collaboration, that never happened, or any other crime for that matter, I was redeemed in the blood of the cross. It's caused me to rethink many of the things that I thought before. I'm a libertarian, but I also have to reconcile that with my faith in Jesus Christ. I would not have survived. I wouldn't be on your show right now.
No, I know, but Roger Stone, are you declaring for the very first time on this nationally syndicated show of Greg Kelly that you are born again?
I like to be in America.
I've been on hundreds of Christian podcasts, radio shows, net-based shows, and talked about my renewed faith. So it's not news. You may have heard this, but yes, I am redeemed in the blood.
Hold the presses. Remember, you're talking to Curtis Lee, you're Roger Stone. I know you over the years. Hey, you were a swinger, or at least you were promoting swapping partners in Plato's retreat-style fashion. It caused you to have to leave one of the presidential campaigns. You promoted the legalized use of marijuana, recreational use of marijuana. You represented the madam when she ran in the general election against Andrew Cuomo for the governor, the madam. And you promoted the legalization of prostitution. How do you jive all of that with this newfound status of, hey, I'm born again?
Well, first of all, anyone can be redeemed, and on some of those issues I haven't changed. I'm still for the legalization and regulation of marijuana. I'm still opposed, by the way, to stop and frisk. Took a lot of heat from my conservative friends for that. I used to be a pro-abortion. Today I'm pro-life. I've had with the birth of my one and only great-grandson, I've had a revision in my thinking. But Curtis, I'm not running for public office, and I also recognize the power of some of these issues. So, for example, even though I may be pro-life, I think that the 6-week ban as signed by the governor is probably politically unpalatable to many suburban women in a general election. I think it was one of the main reasons why Republicans recently lost the Supreme Court races in Wisconsin, has been an effective issue to mobilize voters. So thank you for that colorful trip down memory lane, but people change, Curtis. They change.
I understand, but why is it, and maybe you can explain this, because I announced before we went to break that you have represented some of the biggest names in Republican history, especially those who run for president or been president, that it seems like the rite of passage is that if you are contemplating running for the presidency and getting the Republican nomination, you cannot be pro-choice. For instance, Donald Trump was pro-choice. He became pro-life. Chris Christie, pro-choice. He became pro-life. We saw our own mayor here, Rudy Giuliani, pro-choice. He became pro-life. I can go on and on. I remember when they were huddling with Bush 43, and he was thinking, I really want Tom Ridge of Pennsylvania. They said, you can't have Tom Ridge. He's pro-choice governor of Pennsylvania. I really want to know. He's pro-choice. And probably the classic, and you're aware of this, when Reagan wrestled with Bush 41, voodoo economics, and Bush 41 was pro-choice, at Cobo Hall Arena in Detroit, where they were welcoming in their presidential nominee, Reagan, and he rejected Gerald Ford's offer of a co-presidency. They said, who do you want for your vice president? He said, Laxalt and Nevada. His team in California said, you can't have Laxalt.
July 29, 1963. No.
Because of a change in federal law, the 23 deposits This means that households currently receiving SNAP benefits will only receive one SNAP
Welcome back,
deposit in the first half
welcome
of the
back,
month,
Ray.
starting with a deposit in the later part of the month.
Sally Scipio, welcome back. Joseph Taylor, Dr. Ray, welcome back. Peter Donald, welcome back. Delivery.
there is a dietary supplement available from the makers of Eccentric.